Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today's episode deals with the concept and meaning of leadership. It also tells you about the differences between leadership and management. In addition, the script also explains the various styles of leadership. This episode will also throw some light on the importance of leadership and so on. I'm Amrita Ghosh Kumar and the subject expert is Dr. Tarannum Amir, teaching in Satyavati College, University of Delhi. We begin by taking a broad overview of the concept of leadership. Leadership is the process through which one can influence the behavior of others. Leadership is a dynamic and an essential element for the survival of an organization. Without leadership, no organization can achieve its goals. Leadership is an important activity for a manager. A manager cannot manage the employees as well as the organization efficiently unless he can lead his subordinates effectively. The term leadership has been defined in several ways, but all the concepts of leadership have a certain common characteristics. In the words of Koontz and O Donnell, leadership has been defined as influencing people to follow the achievement of a common goal. It is the ability to exert interpersonal influence by means of communication towards the achievement of a goal. Chester Bernard has defined it as the quality of behavior of individuals whereby they guide people or their activities in organized efforts. This means that leadership is an ability of a person or a manager to guide, direct and influence their subordinates so that they can achieve the organizational goals effectively and efficiently. Another definition of leadership given by McFarland has emphasized that leadership is the process of interpersonal influence by which executive or a manager influences the activities of others in choosing and attaining a given goal. From the above definitions, it has been revealed that leadership is simply a process whereby an individual or manager influences their followers or subordinates as well as guides, directs and supervises them to achieve a common goal. It has been further revealed that leadership consists of two elements, that is, a person who will lead or the leader and the person who has to get led, that is, the subordinates or the followers. 1. Leadership is a process of influencing others. 2. Leadership is situational. This means that leadership is related to a particular situation. Leadership styles in one situation may be different from another situation. 3. It is a continuous and dynamic process of influencing the behavior of followers or subordinates. Managers have to guide and influence their subordinates all the time. 4. A leader must have followers. Leadership cannot exist without followers. 5. Good leaders are made, not born. A person can become a good leader if he has the desire to lead his subordinates. 6. A person can become a good leader through education, training and experience. 7. Leadership helps in attaining common objectives. There is always a misconception that leadership and managership are the same. But in practice, both concepts are different. Leadership is a part of management. The main functions of managers are to plan, organize, direct and control the business affairs. But the main task of a leader is to influence the individuals or a group of individuals. Secondly, a leader need not be a manager, but a manager must have the qualities of leadership. Thirdly, a manager is formally appointed and gets the authorities to supervise or guides the subordinates from his position. He has a formal authority to influence the behavior of his subordinates. But leader is not always appointed. He gets the power of influencing from his followers who accept him as their leader. Fourthly, there is a formal relationship between the manager and the subordinates, but there is informal relationship between the leader and the followers. The main objectives of management is to achieve the organizational goals by achieving the goals of individuals, whereas the leader clarifies the roles of individuals to maximize their interests and integrate the individual's goals with that of an organization's goals. As we have discussed till now, leadership is a dynamic and an essential element for the survival of an organization. Without leadership, no organization can achieve its goals. Good leaders can give the success to the organization, whereas poor leaders can nullify the soundest organization. Usually, it is the quality of leadership which determines the fate of an organization. Following functions of leadership will clarify even better the importance of leadership. A. First important function of a leader is to set up the goals for his subordinates. After setting the goals, he explains the goals to his subordinates as well as the means through which they can achieve the goals. B. Another important function of a leader is to motivate and to build morale of his subordinates so that they can achieve the organizational goals effectively. C. A leader integrates the individual's goals with the organizational goals. D. A good leader always inspires his subordinates towards the achievement of organizational goals. He also provides guidance and gives advice to his subordinates to achieve the organizational goals effectively. E. A good leader creates mutual understanding amongst the individuals or a group of individuals and develops team spirit amongst them. F. A leader acts as a representative of his group. He takes initiative in all the matters of interest to the group. There are two types of leaders. They are described as formal leaders and informal leaders. Formal leaders are those leaders who have been given the authority by the organization to exercise direct control over the activities of their followers or subordinates. He can issue the orders and instructions to their subordinates directly. They will be held responsible for the acts done by their subordinates. They are accountable and answerable to those who have elected them in a formal way. On the other hand, informal leaders are not formally elected or appointed. They do not have any formal authority. They become leaders because subordinates get influenced by them. Subordinates feel that their leaders will help them in satisfying their personal needs and interests. There are certain circumstances when formal leaders are unable to secure the cooperation of their subordinates. In such situations, informal leaders play a very significant role by attaining the cooperation of the group. The term leadership styles refer to the behavior of a leader in a particular situation. Different behavior exists among leaders in different times and at different situations. Leadership style is the outcome of a leader's personality, past experience, types of followers, organizational atmosphere, and so on. Following are some of the leadership styles which exist in the leaders from time to time. A. Autocratic leadership. B. Participative leadership. C. Free rein leadership. An autocrat leader is the leader who is very strict and gives orders to their subordinates. Subordinates have to follow the orders of the leaders without questioning them. He never listens to their subordinates and he himself determines the policies without consulting their subordinates. All decision-making power is in the hands of an autocrat leader. He loves power and never delegates his authority. An autocrat leader dominates and drives his groups through coercion and command. He does not give freedom to his subordinates to influence his behavior. An autocrat leader believes that subordinates can be motivated only through threats, punishments, or penalties. He assumes that people work for money and thus he exercises tight control and supervision over them. The advantages of autocratic styles of leadership. A. Autocratic leadership styles facilitates quick decision making. B. This style gives satisfaction to the leader. C. This style is useful in case of a less educated and unskilled worker. D. Whenever great speed is required, autocratic leadership styles provides positive results. The disadvantages of autocratic leadership. A. Autocratic leadership styles leads to frustration, low morale, and conflict among subordinates. B. It does not allow subordinates to take responsibility and initiative. Thus, the full potential of subordinates and their creativeness are not utilized. C. It does not allow the subordinates to give suggestion for better working. The participative leadership is also known as democratic leadership. Under this style of leadership, a leader determines policies in consultation with their subordinates. He gives full freedom to their subordinates to participate in decision making. He decentralizes authority to his subordinates. Under this style of leadership, subordinates are free to discuss their problems with their leaders. Leaders listen to the suggestions and opinions of his subordinates. There is a two-way communication. Advantages of participative leadership. A. Participative leadership gives job satisfaction to the employees. B. It reduces the problems and grievances between the employees and the management, thus increases the cooperation between them. C. It boosts the morale of the employees. D. It also reduces labor turnover and labor absenteeism. The disadvantages of participative leadership. A. It is time consuming and may result in delays in decision making. B. This style may not be effective when subordinates prefer minimum interaction with their subordinates. C. Under this style, subordinates may feel that leaders are not competent to solve their problems. Under this style, a leader delegates complete authority to his subordinates so that they can take their own decisions. Such a leader does not lead but leaves the group entirely to itself. Subordinates themselves establish goals and work out their own problems. The leader gives all responsibility and most of the work to the group. In simple words, there is least intervention of leaders. This style of leadership is also known as the permissive style of leadership or laissez-faire leadership. Advantages of free rein leadership. A. It produces good and quick results. B. It gives job satisfaction and increases the morale of the employees. C. It utilizes the full potential of the employees. The disadvantages of free rein leadership. A. This style is useful only in case of highly educated employees. B. It ignores the contribution of the leader. It is very difficult to select the leadership style because different leadership styles have their own advantages and disadvantages. Depending upon the circumstances, leaders have to follow or select the different style or styles. It is difficult to say that which style is better than the other. There are various factors which have to be considered for selecting the style of leadership. In the words of Tannenbaum and Schmidt, following are the factors which affect the choice of a style of leadership. A. Forces in the manager. This factor includes the manager's personality, experience, self-confidence, subordinates, feeling of security, and so on. B. Forces in the subordinates. These include readiness of the subordinates to assume responsibility for making decisions, need of subordinates for independence, knowledge to deal with the problem, etc. C. Forces in situation. These forces include the type of organization, the complexities of the problem, the nature and objectives of the group cohesiveness, and so on. Robert R. Blake and James S. Morton have identified 5 basic leadership styles which are known as the managerial grid. Number 1, the 9-1 managerial style, that is the task style. Under this grid, people are considered as machines and an autocratic style of leadership is adopted to treat them. There is no place for human emotions and relations. Only formal relations exist between the leaders and the followers. Subordinates are expected to carry out the orders and instructions of the leaders without questioning them. Number 2, the 1-9 managerial style or the country club style. Here, a leader is like a big brother more than the strict autocrat. Friendly and social relations, good working environment, and so on are the main features of this system. Number 3, the 1-1 managerial style or the improved style. Here, a leader is a messenger who carries orders from the above level and passes it to the lower level. Number 4, the 5-5 managerial style or the middle road. Here, people are as important as production. Thus, this style tries to maintain a balance between the people and the production. 5th, the 9-9 managerial style or the team style. The main purpose here is to achieve teamwork to accomplish organizational goals. In order to understand the behavior as well as the different styles of the leaders, Rensis Likert and his associates had conducted a survey on the managers. After making a survey, they have developed 4 concepts of management, which are known as Likert's system for management. There are 7 variables upon which this system is based. That is leadership, motivation, communication, interaction, influence, decision-making process, goal setting, and control process. According to Likert, most of the managers adopt one or the other following systems of management to get things done through their subordinates. These systems are discussed here. This is the first Likert's management system under which all the authority are in the hands of the manager or leaders. Leaders are very strict towards their subordinates. They believe that subordinates would perform the work efficiently and achieve the goals effectively only if they are threatened and punished. Thus, they exercise strict supervision over their subordinates. There is no informal communication between leaders and subordinates. Autocrat leader gives orders to his subordinates, and subordinates have to follow the orders of the leaders without questioning them. He never listens to his subordinates, and he himself determines the policies without consulting their subordinates. This system also consists of autocrat leaders, but they are not strict and exploitative. This system adopts the stick and carrot approach to motivation. Under the stick and carrot system, subordinates are rewarded for accomplishment of goals, and subordinates who do not accomplish their goals are punished. In other words, managers under this system adopt paternalistic approach. According to this approach, subordinates are given some freedom to accomplish their tasks. Under this system, managers, after consulting with his subordinates, sets the goals for the group and issue orders for accomplishing them. Major decisions are taken by the managers and routine decisions are taken by his subordinates. There is a two-way communication, and subordinates are free to discuss any grievances or work-related problems with their managers. Employees under this system are motivated through rewards and not through penalties or punishment. In the democratic system of management, managers have complete trust in their subordinates. Goal setting as well as work-related decisions are taken by subordinates. The behavior of managers towards their subordinates is friendly, and they support them in all the ways. Much emphasis is given on communication. Both the downwards and the upward communication is allowed in this system. According to Likert, System 4, that is, the democratic is the ideal system towards which organizations should work. He feels that this system is the best way to develop and utilize human resources. He suggests leadership training at all levels of management so as to move managers to the System 4 management. He found that System 4 will lead to higher productivity as well as will give satisfaction to the workers. Likert states that leadership and other process of the organization must be such as to ensure that in all interactions and in all relationships within the organization, each member, in the light of his values, desires and expectations, will view the experience as supportive and one which builds and maintains a sense of his personal worth and importance. As discussed above, there is no one best style of leadership which is universally applicable to all situations. This means that a leader has to choose that style of leadership which is best suited to that situation. According to situational theory, there are 4 variables which affect leadership styles. These variables are leader, followers or subordinates, organization structure and situation. These variables not only affect leadership styles but also determine leadership effectiveness. The main thing in situational theory is that the leader will first determine the situation, the needs and expectations of the followers, the nature of the followers, etc., and then only will select that method or style of leadership which will give the maximum satisfaction to their subordinates or followers. The main purpose of this theory is to emphasize that leadership styles is suited in one situation may be unsuited in another situation. Thus, leaders must change their style of leadership according to the situation. In order to influence followers, leaders must possess various qualities. Some of the important qualities are as discussed here. A. Physical qualities. Leaders should have sound health, good appearance, enthusiastic, physical and nervous energy, and so on. B. Intellectual qualities. Another quality which leaders should have is the ability to teach, to comprehend, to conceptualize, and so on. Apart from this, they should be intelligent enough to solve the problem and to guide, supervise, as well as to direct their followers. They must have the ability of sound judgment and self-understanding. C. Moral qualities. Another quality which should be present in a good leader is to have courage, willpower, sense of purpose, objectivity, integrity, etc. D. Social qualities. As far as social qualities are concerned, leaders should be such who have the ability to understand the human relations, human nature, and human attitude, and so on. E. Task-related quality. Task-related qualities include self-confidence, tactful, ability to inspire his followers, and so on. Leaders should be initiative and should be able to persuade. He should have the quality of persuading his subordinates. Leadership continuum has been developed by Tannenbaum and Schmidt to describe the various range of leadership behavior. The concept of leadership continuum has been divided into ranges which describe the degree of authority used by the leader and the degree of freedom given to the subordinates. Two ranges of this theory are boss-centered leadership and employee-centered leadership. In case of boss-centered leadership, there is a high degree of control of leader over their subordinates, and subordinates do not have the freedom to take the decision. Managers themselves take the decision and announce to their subordinates. On the contrary, employee-centered leadership refers to that range where a manager releases a high degree of control. In case of an employee-centered control, manager considers his subordinates as human beings. Managers respect the needs and decisions of his subordinates. He tries to build teamwork and tries to solve the problems of his subordinates. Under this range, a manager trusts his employees and lets them function within the range prescribed by him. Manager defines limits and asks for his subordinates to take decisions. The main difference between boss-centered and employee-centered leadership is that in case of the boss-centered leadership, the manager preserves the authority within himself. He lays down the standard methods and conditions of producing goods or results. He keeps his subordinates constantly busy, whereas an employee-centered manager helps his subordinates not only in the present job but also develops them to achieve higher jobs. And that is all for today. Hope you have understood the fundamentals of leadership. We'll see you again with another topic on management. Till then, take care and bye-bye.